I feel if you do not look at solutions from the lens of how it changes it to be better for people, then you have lost, because you're more interested in getting technology out there without realizing what that technology could do for you or should do for you.
The technology is one thing and has the ability to tie all these pieces together, right?
Their first impression of your company is the applicant experience. Developers in particular are looking at the technology that you're using and saying to themselves, how innovative is this company really?
The way we're operating today is significantly different because we have to address the need of the candidate in a way that's different than it ever has been.
We create and we measure and we monitor engagement opportunities to strengthen a work culture where people belong and they can do their best work.
At the core of it, it really is about helping other people and helping the business be successful. That's what I love the most.
Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of HR Tech Talks. I was going to say it was kind of a special edition. I think I was going to tumble out of my mouth there. So we're obviously today here to do our special award winner announcement for the 2023 HR Tech Awards. I have my friend, colleague, co-host of HR Tech Talks, one of the judges on the HR Tech Awards, all that other stuff. George Rogers here with me. George, welcome. Glad to have you.
Thank you so much. I feel like the more I get to hang out with you and become a part of your life and journey, the more titles I get. And I'm just like, where does it end? I'm kind of, overwhelmed. I'm humbled by the opportunity, but I'm glad to be here today with everybody as well.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to this, and not just because I usually do this myself solo, but because this year you've been getting deeper in the technology side of things. And so it's been a lot of fun for me to watch you as you've been interviewing people for HR Tech Talks, as you've been diving into the awards and giving your feedback on some of these. And I'll give you a chance to chime in, let some people hear as we're going through this. But really quickly, I'm going to give you all a quick heads up on the program. So if you're new here, you have not been kind of in the loop from the beginning, every year, we at Lighthouse run this program called the HR Tech Awards, because one of the common questions that George and I hear pretty regularly is, hey, what tool should we be using for this, for employee listing, for payroll, for, right? Throw your technology in there. We hear those questions all the time. And it's a conversation we have over and over again. And the awards gives us a chance to look at a number of companies, dozens of them, and figure out, okay, these companies are doing things to solve real problems, to add value for employers out there, to help the workforce, to find a workplace that's more meaningful, and all those kind of things. And so it's our opportunity to share some of those, to really highlight some companies that are doing well in that. And this year you'll see it across, again, dozens of categories. We've really tried to break it down, because when you say, hey, what's the best, whatever, right, that really is difficult. If you ask George and I right now, what's the best thing that we should have for lunch, he and I will probably come up with very different answers for that. Just like the best thing for any company is probably a little more nuanced. And so we break it out, as you'll see in a moment, by company sizes, by industry, some other kinds of things, to help really focus in on, okay, we're in this space and we're trying to solve this problem. There's likely a solution out there to help you with that. So one other thing I'll tell you, let's see if I can flip ahead here, is we're going to talk through about 60 something companies today that have won awards in the program. And that may seem like a lot. Like, wow, that's a lot of different companies, a lot of different things. Yes, absolutely. But what we see in the data is that there are more than 5,000 companies in the HR technology space across all the different segments and pieces you can imagine. And some of them that might even surprise you. You may hear about some of those today, some new types of companies that are entering the space that are doing things that a couple of years ago wasn't even possible or wasn't even on anyone's radar. So of that, we're looking at about 1% of those companies to give awards to this year and really recognize what they're doing and to give them the kudos that they deserve. Okay, one last thing from a housekeeping perspective, just to give you an idea of what's behind all this before we dive in. So the judging process, we get dozens of entries every single year for this program. We look through all these different companies. We validate them based on the problems they're solving, case studies, demos, all those kinds of things. George, are you probably good for demos for a little while? Or is your demo,
I'm demoed in, I'm demoed out.
Just satisfied there for the time being. And I don't know about you, George, but what I love most is really looking at the case studies, seeing the stories of companies that are using these tools, the results they're getting, the impact it's having on their people. Like that part for me is the most exciting of all this that I get to look at, really.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, being new to it as well, is learning the other side of the table, so to speak, of how the technology actually works,
Mhm.
right? What the impact it's making with the current clients of a lot of these people, and the good that it's doing across the board. Of course, for me, anything that deals with employee experience and development and well-being of those employees kind of triggers my ears and interest. And so, a lot of these companies are doing great things and growing as well.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely. That's a great way to put it. And then last but not least, if you want to learn more about the program, I'll have the link at the end as well. But hrtechawards.org is where we'll be listing all of the winners here. We'll be updating the website with the new 2023 winners page to give all of them the kudos and the credit they deserve. Big blog post announcement, all these other kind of things now that this is going to become fully public. So to all of you who are about to be announced, congratulations to you in advance. We appreciate you for the work you're doing, for the impact you're having. And as George just said, for these great tools that you're building, not just for their own sake, but for the sake of the companies that you're serving ultimately. So let's dive into this. We'll go through each of the categories, and it's a lot to get through, so I'll run through it pretty quickly, but I'll pause and I'll talk about a category or a company here, or let George chime in on some of the companies that he had the privilege of judging, just to give you all a little bit of insight into what's happening here, some of the new nuances in the space, or the new things we're seeing that are really exciting to us. But TA is a big focus, has been for many years now, and in the last couple of years, it's been even higher priority than ever before because of the difficulty of finding good people. So let's dive into this. So first off, the best comprehensive solution. This is for large enterprise. So you're a company with 10,000 people. You're looking for a solution that can scale up and be able to sustain and support at that level. These are the companies that won awards this time around. So HireVue for their assessments and video interviewing tools. Sterling doing an amazing job with background checks. It's really setting the standard there, doing some good work. The team at Aria by Leoforce around their sourcing tools, using AI to help recruiters be more effective, more efficient. They've got some incredible case studies that I was impressed by. And last but not least, JobBite has been in this space for quite some time, and they're still doing really good work supporting employers, helping them. Their maturity assessment, by the way, is incredible. Not kind of a side conversation to the technology, but if you're trying to think about where you are and how you can improve as a TA function, their maturity assessments is a great place to start there. On the innovative and emerging tech side, one of the ones that I know, George, you've had a little bit of exposure to the team at SmartRank. I don't think you judged their entry, but you've had some exposure to Keith and the team at SmartRank and some of the stuff that they're doing there. I was really pumped when I first saw what they were doing, because I know as a recruiter, I spent a lot of time digging through things that just took forever, and they're short circuiting that, helping people to get faster decision times, get closer to the high quality candidates, all those things. That one was exciting to see. So congrats to the team there. Live hire as well. And then not last but not least on this one was Talent Reef. They're one of the major tech companies, and they're doing some good stuff in that space when it comes to just standing out, looking for new ways to solve problems, looking for new ways to innovate. Recruiting is not a new function, but the ways that they're tackling some of the problems there are new and unique and different, and solving big challenges. When it comes to the DEI side, Data People's doing some great work around talent acquisition. I was impressed by their entry. We had some really great responses from the judges on what they're doing and how they're trying to solve problems and help employers to be a little bit more conscious of their inclusive hiring practices. That's actually an area that George, I forgot your name for a second, George, goodness. That's an area that George here has been doing some speaking on. We'll be doing some speaking on this summer at some different events, really tapping into some of the inclusive hiring practices, how employers should get better at that. Anything you want to comment on kind of broadly on diversity hiring before we move on, George?
Yeah, I think a lot of what's going on is really adapting, right? We had phases of this process being and where companies and organizations started and where they are today. I think the key point that we're seeing right now is like getting really down into it. We made this part of our company, and some people say we made it a program within our company. And now there's a lot of adapting from a program now to, hey, how does this become a part of our strategy in our business and workplace? And with that becomes a little bit more details in these organizations, to where they're saying it's more than just the words, it's their actions that are coming to light. And so there's a lot of things that the employers are doing and the employees are desiring to see continue to be done. So great work is still to be done, but there's a lot of progress.
Yeah, absolutely. And companies like Data People and others are really helping to set that standard, to help make some of those activities and actions visible so employers can take the right action and make some improvements there. When it comes to measurement, one of the things that I get really excited about, data, numbers, evidence, all those kind of things. So there are different ways to approach this. Right? There's different ways to look at data within the hiring process. And each of these companies here won an award for this, but they're doing it in very different ways, which is fun for me. So I'll start at the bottom here. Lever has a visual insights dashboard that allows us as recruiting teams to give our hiring managers access to what's going on. So they don't have to keep asking us questions. They don't have to wonder. They don't have to, be held up by us. They get to look and see what's going on and kind of keep tabs on that, which is thrilling to me. After running yet another report for our hiring manager, they get a chance to be a little more empowered and that. Surveil is one of the leaders when it comes to being able to understand what's going on with the candidates that you're supporting, what their feedback is, what the candidate experience is, really drawing in their insights as part of the hiring process and helping to weave that in to make better decisions, to improve the processes, all those things. And last but not least, Pinsight helps employers that are trying to hire leaders. You want to hire great leaders, you need to be talking to a company like that. They're doing some really good stuff around helping you to predict which leaders are going to come in and really hit the ground running, be able to support your people, be able to advance your mission and hit your goals as an organization, versus those leaders who look great on paper and can't quite make it happen when it comes to the tasks, the activities, and the leadership roles they're trying to take on. So each of these is approaching this impact in a different sort of way, this measurement piece in a different way, but they're all doing it in a way that matters to each of you as an employer out there. When it comes to AI, we're seeing more companies diving into that, and this is evidence here. This category has more winners in it across the spectrum of different ways approaching AI than approaching hiring, I guess, through AI than ever before. PandoLogix, great work, one of the leaders when it comes to programmatic advertising. Arca24 doing great work bringing this to life. Modern Hire actually just recently got acquired by HireVue, one of the other award winners you saw earlier. They just got acquired by them, but both of them were solving problems around bringing AI into screening and creating fairer hiring practices without bias. Phenom has done some great work with empowering talent teams, empowering hiring managers, even giving value back to candidates and employees, which is kind of a fun twist on that to make sure that those individuals are getting the most out of the hiring process, the employee experience, to be able to use AI technology to help them make better decisions on careers and jobs and so on. So really neat to see this continue to expand and explode almost in terms of popularity, but also just the impact we're able to have on the people at work. I left Fama for the last, George, because I know you've actually had a chance recently. We had a chance to talk with their team recently, but you actually had a chance to take a look at what they're doing. Any comments on what they're up to?
Yeah, I think it's different, and it's really, with their AI technology mixed with obviously the human verification of this process, being able to really add another particular background check initiative, essentially, to make sure for me, when I'm bringing somebody on the team and other organizations and leaders in HR, side of things are looking into this acquisition portion of it, really, balancing who are we bringing into our company, what kind of avoiding the toxic traits that could happen. Does the person character, integrity, does their lifestyle really align with the person that we want to not only represent us as people and our brand, but the company in itself? And so what they're doing is incredible to the extent that they're doing it and developing at a high level to be able to make sure from a social media standpoint and even helping prevent some legal actions that could come into point if you're making such a hire that could backfire on you. So yeah, they're doing great things.
Excellent. Awesome. All right, moving on. Frontline focus solution. So this is a new category this year because we've spent more time with employers that are very focused on solutions that matter to them. More and more, we're talking to companies that say, well, we're in this industry. Who's doing something that's specific to us? Or we hired this kind of people, in terms of frontline as an example, who's doing things that are going to matter to us. And so you'll see that pop up a couple times in here. So we have solutions in learning. We have solutions in engagement. We have solutions here when it comes to the hiring side. So TalentNet has won an award here. They're doing some amazing work when it comes to direct sourcing, helping employers tap into candidate pools more quickly, be able to run shorter cycle times when it comes to frontline workers. One of the things that we're hearing overall in the market is many times frontline individuals or people who are in essential worker jobs, however you want to call them, these hourly workers are making decisions on what job they want to take, what position or what direction they want to go, not within days, not within weeks, but within hours. So being able to respond more quickly, more rapidly is going to be the sort of winning combination for employers, and TalentNet is leading the way there. One of the things that we see pretty consistently is, I mentioned this earlier on the comprehensive side, the enterprise side, is that the needs of a smaller organization are very different in some cases, even when it comes to hiring. Same outcome. We have to put someone in a seat ultimately, but the way you approach that's very different. Jazz HR is one of the employee brands. The company, the holding company employee has Job Bite, Jazz HR, Next Thing RPO, Lever, a couple other companies under that umbrella. And Jazz HR won it for their small business focused solution because they're helping thousands and thousands of small companies that are trying to hire the next person. They're flexible pricing, a lot of other good things in there that make it very friendly to an employer that may hire a lot today and then nothing next month and then come back again, kind of that cyclical type of stuff. Talent intelligence is another new category we've kind of plugged in this year because we're talking to more employers that are looking for solutions in that area. So we tried to help narrow that down and give them some idea of who's doing some things that are noteworthy in that space. And so here's a couple examples. First up, Plum, friends, George and I are both friends of the team at Plum. We've seen some of the great work they've done and continue to do, and they're really helping employers and they're helping candidates as well. As we mentioned earlier, the benefit of not just one or the other, but both getting the benefit of that. They're helping candidates to find roles. They're helping internal people find roles that are a good fit for them. They're also helping employers to hire individuals based on what their potential is. And in our brand new study on hiring that George and I ran the live stream on about a month ago, one of the key things we unveiled there was the number one way candidates say we as employers can respect them during the hiring process is not just to rush them through the hiring process. It's not just to give them a cool technology, but it's to respect them by seeing their potential and what they can be, not just who they are today. And Plum's doing a good job of that. On top of that, Talentate is doing some really great work around evaluating, helping employers to make better choices, as well as Harvard as well. Both all these companies are doing some great work when it comes to the talent intelligence side, helping us really see a layer deeper, to see past the resume and understand more about who someone is, what they bring to the table, and what value they have to offer us as an employer. And also on that respect side, really seeing the potential they have to be successful long-term. All great pieces of that. So that's probably a whirlwind for you. Catch your breath for a second. We're going to dive into the talent development side. It'll go more quickly here. Lots of volume, lots of things happening on talent acquisition because it's the priority. At the same time, though, we're talking to more employers that are saying, you know, we're shifting a little bit of our conversation from just hire as fast as we can to how do we retain people? How do we keep them around? How do we make sure we're not losing our good people? And one of the key ways to do that in the data over and over and over again is talent development, building, growing, supporting our people so they can be their very best. So a couple of different companies that we're going to highlight here. Number one is Skooks. They're doing amazing work with some massive organizations, right? Clients like Subway and others, really large companies, lots of complexity. So allowing each different location or each different region to be able to report out on their metrics, to understand their impact on the business. Skooks is doing some really good stuff there, flexible system, and I've really enjoyed seeing them continue to succeed in the work that they're doing and the impact they're having in the industry. So congrats to them. On the culture building side, Mentessa is doing some good work. George, I think you had a chance to take a look at this one as part of your judging, correct? What's your thought on Mentessa?
Yeah, I think Ben, what they do and what I found is how they connect the learning culture aspect of it. So they tie a lot of the learning culture, the employee engagement, which then obviously we talk about employee engagement and the increase that it does and the impact that it makes on improving also the employees' well-being. And so Mentessa really focuses on those things to really kind of create that innovation, that productivity in those processes. And so when you have good culture, the employee engagement rises. When employee engagement is well, we've seen a healthy, mental health and focus on that side of things. So they're doing a incredible job on that side, Ben, in regards to the improvement overall of the well-being with the process, and the clients are seeing it with their employees as well.
That's excellent to hear. And I think you got in every one of your favorite buzzwords, right? Mental health, you got in like culture, you got in like all those things.
Engagement. Yeah, they're doing an incredible job. I love it, especially some of the case studies that they shared as well. Some good things and impacts that they're making with their software when you're being able to really dig into it and maximize it all.
Awesome. Wonderful. Wonderful. All right. So the next one up may make you a little bit thirsty. 10,000 Coffees. They got an award for their DEI enabling solution. So their work is around really helping to connect people, because we all know that connection is the key fundamental layer for helping us to respect and understand others. There's a great leader that I had a chance to interview a while back that said stereotypes break down in proximity. So the more we can get people closer to each other, the more the stereotypes fall away. We know who they are, what they can do, and how we can support them ultimately. So 10,000 Coffees is really leading the space in that and doing a great job making that impact. Scoots, we've already talked to them a little bit, but their focus really, just to give it one more push here, their focus is on those frontline industries. So if you're a company that has people who are physically present at their job, for a lot of those people, that it's like, well, they can't go to sit at their computer. They don't have a laptop. They can't be connecting in to do training. So how do we support training for those people? And Scoots has made all those things very easy, very accessible, very simple for them to be able to do that, and to do that on their own time, at their own sort of pace, and really putting that power into the hands of every one of the learners that are out there, even for frontline focused employers, which I know is sometimes a difficult place to sort of meet the need there. So congrats to the Scoots team on that award as well. And then talent intelligence. So helping us to understand, really see our people. One of the ways that the Cornerstone team puts this is really having an AI fabric that underlies that all the decisions we're making, that connects in and understands the skills of our people. So we don't have to guess what the capabilities are in the business. We don't have to hope that we know, or close our eyes and just make a wish. They're giving employers certainty, if you want to put it that way, when it comes to understanding what the capabilities are in the business, what the people can do, what their aggregated skills are capable of, and what gaps you might have. So what to fill in with training, with development, with hiring, all those types of pieces. And so Cornerstone's done some great work there. They're also really supporting employers with some of their talent marketplace features to make it easier for me to raise my hand and say, hey, I've got some time. I want to go and build this skill and go dive in and find an opportunity in the business to be able to do that, without having to say, well, the only way to do it is, on my own time, or something outside the company, where my employer doesn't get the benefit of that. My colleagues and peers don't get the benefit of me doing something outside. They only get the benefit when I'm participating alongside them. So it's some good stuff there. Thanks to the Cornerstone team for the work they're doing, and congrats on the award there. All right, George, we're about almost halfway done here, and then we're going to dive into talent management up next. So one of the things that I got so excited about this year is we're seeing more AI solutions outside of talent acquisition for the first time. Really, employers that are, some of the solution providers that are diving in, bringing AI solutions to other spaces of talent than just hiring. And an example of that is Engagedly. So George and I had a chance recently to talk to the team, see some of the stuff they're building there. They have actually built this chatbot solution that helps really connect leaders and get them engaged, get them conversing, get the wheels sort of turning on how to make engagement and culture and development a key focus, how to support the performance of all their people, really making that the focus there through the chatbot tools that they put out into the hands of managers and leaders. So they're doing some good things there. Congrats to Sri and the Engagedly team for that. Another one, George, you and I had a chance recently to meet some of the team from BetterWorks at an event in person, and seeing their work, their big focus, right? If you've got 200 employees, they're probably not the provider for you. But if you're looking for a way to really understand the KPIs of your people, really see how they're doing against those, help them progress, not just to measure, but to help them progress against those KPIs, and to see some successes and to see some performance improvement, all those kind of things. That's where BetterWorks really focuses, really plays well. So there's some good work there. And if that's something you've thought about OKRs, you've thought about goals, you've thought about those kinds of things as an organization and how to make those work, they're doing some great work there. And I don't want to let spoil too much of your thunder there, George, steal your thunder. But George has been working on a big study around performance, culture, engagement, business impact, all those things. And some of the early findings we're already seeing from that really indicate some strong ties between the culture of an organization, how their people feel, and the performance practices, all those kind of things, right, George? Like we're early on, right, doing some analysis, but there's some really amazing things already popping out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of alignment, and a lot of these companies being that we're seeing that has like BetterWorks that is aligned their engagement processes and with their goals. We're seeing that the performance really is driven by leadership, and leadership, obviously the impact that it does to the employee engagement when they have a leader that's helping them connect it to them and what that does. And so when you're engaged, your performance goes up. And the impact overall, obviously, is affecting the culture because, as I state, culture is, what we feel and believe and behave most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. All right. So in terms of DEI, we're seeing, again, some different things here that I get excited about too, just like I do on the AI side, the DEI side, our other acronym here. So Salary.com has done some great work when it comes to pay equity, helping employers understand not just, okay, are we paying this group fairly versus that group, because just looking at that and understanding that is not as simple as comparing two different numbers. It takes a lot of analysis. It takes a lot of statistics. It takes some really complicated calculations to figure out the results there. And then understanding, okay, what do we do to make it right? How do we close that gap? How do we fill this and support it for those people? So Salary.com is doing some great work there when it comes to that. And I love that they're tied into the skills, competencies of the organization. So they really see a layer deeper than just the pay. Equity has one here. They're a company they have a very different accent. They're based down in the Australia, New Zealand area, and they're doing some great work when it comes to helping employers to really visualize what's happening from a DEI perspective and how to take action on those things. And we actually had some conversation with them as we were figuring out where to slot them into a category that fit them best, because I wanted to say, hey, this is about analytics and impact. And they said, yeah, but we're also doing more than that. We're doing other things beyond just measuring. We're helping employers make the next best decision. We're helping leaders make the next choice that's going to lead them to a more inclusive and supportive organization. And so they're like, we don't want it to be just measurement. We want to be all these other things around impact. And so that's how they ended up in this specific category. And so kudos to them for the work they're doing there. Next up, really quickly, give some shout outs on the innovative emerging solutions here. WorkDrive. George and I have had a chance to meet with Tracy, their CEO and founder. They're doing some incredible work around helping to put the power into employees' hands to move their career along, to find the next thing for them to get into that. On the similar sort of perspective, Gloat has actually supported employees in that talent marketplace sort of idea I mentioned earlier. They're helping employees to have a little bit more control over what other things can I sample? What other things can I explore? I love ice cream. It's my favorite thing in the world in terms of favorite food group. I love going to the ice cream place and getting a sample, a lot of things, and figure out what I want most. And Gloat is helping employees to sample different things in the organization, different tasks, projects, activities, different gigs, whatever, however you want to call it, and let them figure out what they like, what they don't like, so they can pursue those things, get closer to the career that's the best fit for them, helping them stick around with that employer longer, helping the employer get someone who's really engaged and connected and bought in. It's a great, great impact they're having. In terms of mid-size organizations, sometimes there's a really interesting nuance where a company just emerges from that really small category. They're in that mid-size space for a while, and that can mean a lot of different things. They could be growing rapidly. They could be expanding to other locations. They could, right, all these complexities start to pop into that. And 15Five has done a great job of taking performance and talent in this area and empowering managers to be true partners, not just someone we've got to ask for their completion forms for performance reviews, but to really educate and improve managers to make them more active partners when it comes to every single person, every single relationship with a manager in the business. Their focus is helping to level those up. So it's not just a performance tool that says, oh, we'll just make it pretty, but your employees are still just doing the same thing they have done, and the managers are going to keep doing the same thing, but they're really bringing them on as true partners to make it more impactful. When it comes to talent intelligence and seeing a layer deeper on your people, I keep going back to this to reiterate what talent intelligence is, seeing below just the job titles, below just that normal sort of input we have on people. Two companies won an award here when it comes to that for best talent intelligence and talent management, Confirm and Atomo. And Atomo is doing some good work about making skills visible across the organization so employers can tap into and understand how to leverage that for better performance, everything else. And George, you actually were one of our judges that took a look at Confirm. What was your thought on them?
With them, what sticks out for me, obviously, when you're looking at their analytics portion of things and how to make things fair, I guess, quote unquote.
Yeah.
One of the things for me, from a previous being a business owner and having 18 retail locations myself and being connected with bringing in people, is that you always learn to be data driven, right? Having a data driven way, and what they do with their data driven process to really help assess employees' performance based on input, right, from the entire network. And so having the input from all, it's not just one person's perspective, but it's really how do we tie this into true data for what they're producing. So that was something that stuck out to me with Confirm.
Yeah. I think their approach of using what's called ONA, like organizational network analysis, not just seeing performance of people, but seeing like Ben is connected to George. And so how those relationships connect also factors into someone's performance overall, and who should be weighing in on their performance and who should be giving feedback and all those kind of things, really helping to make that, as you said, fairer overall. I think that's a really amazing approach to it, and take some of the subjectivity out of performance reviews like are so common in most organizations, and makes it a little bit more fair, a little more objective, a little bit better picture of what's actually happening there. All right, we're into total rewards and well-being. We got one or two more sections and we're done here. So best culture building solution here. So culture, as George, as you said earlier, right, this is about the behaviors, the actions, and all those kind of things that we take in an organization. How do we reinforce the actions, the behaviors that are the right ones? And so Bucket List Rewards, number one, is doing some great work with this. They're doing some, a lot of their customers are global, so they have the ability to help employers that don't just have people in one country with all these little nuances like one currency. They've got the ability to flex and support employers who are operating at a global scale. So if you have a lot of people in a lot of places and you're trying to figure out how to handle that complexity, they're doing great work when it comes to that. And then Blueboard, their unique sort of perspective on things is, we don't want to give you another gift card. We want to give you an experience. So you can do all kinds of amazing different types of experiences and use that as a way to connect in, to remember that activity, and to remind yourself, oh, when I'm going through this thing, when I'm skydiving or whatever the experience happens to be, I remember what drove that. I got this as a reward for doing this thing at work that, right, this ties back in, versus just you throw that gift card into your balance on Amazon or whatever else, and it just disappears into the ether and you forget what the ultimate connection was there. So good stuff to both of them. All right, Truzaic, amazing work here when it comes to DEI enabling. Their focus is pay equity. So Truzaic has done a lot of work for years around consulting with organizations that really want to solve for pay equity, understand how to do a better job of that. And they've recently really started focusing on productizing that knowledge and getting that into the product, which is how they won the award this time around. Getting all that knowledge from all of those engagements across companies, every industry, all these different sizes that are trying to focus on pay equity. Truzaic is bringing that to life and putting it into a product that helps employers to do that in a really clear, valuable sort of way. So we're proud of them. Congratulations to the team over there for winning this one. They're a first-time entrant to the awards program, and we can't wait to see how they continue to progress and succeed long-term. One of the companies that was new to me, and I see a lot of companies, so I'm always excited to see a new one that I've never seen before. Sequoia is one of those. So they've done some amazing work, really taking technology and making it very practical, tangible, supportive when it comes to total rewards. And I'm just, again, amazed at the work they're doing, supporting employers. Their case study was an incredible one. So congrats to Sequoia for the work you're doing here, for the impact you're having. Thank you so much. Mequilibrium, MEQ. So George, did you put your hand on this one? I can't remember if you did or not. I'm not sure.
I did.
You did. Okay. So they're in your space of employee well-being is the focus here. So any comments you want to make on MEQ and the work that they're doing in the space?
Yeah, what stood out to me, there's certain words that just like trigger words, right? We all got trigger words that really pump us up. I found what they do with MEQ, providing that, again, real-time insights, especially into the burnout stage. We all get there. We try to dodge it and sometimes ignore when that happens, but really focusing, what they do is focus on that burnout stage and really the productivity and retention risk that has with it, right? And so when you think about what does it do and how do you resolve those type of issues, Ben, their focus is really getting to the root cause. It's not, hey, this is the foundation, we're going to deal with everything that we can see, but this software really helps you get to the root cause, not just the symptoms. And so when you see those things and how it impacts, their clients, especially for them, when their clients in the healthcare space, who over the last couple of years we know has been very, very stressed with the work that they do. So finding root causes and giving them, providing those solutions and insights to help the health, not only of the organization, but the health of your people is incredible. So I really enjoyed what they brought to the table.
Excellent. Awesome. Congrats to the team there. You're doing good work. Keep it up. Okay. I believe this may be our last category. I always lose count. So forgive me if I'm completely wrong on that, but core HR workforce, our last category, and solving, this is a big bucket, honestly, because it seems like we've covered a lot of ground around talent management, everything else, but core HR, the real focus is anything when it comes to supporting the health of our people, managing their time, like all those kind of things fall in this bucket. So getting them paid, those sort of fundamental aspects of HR, they're not, don't underestimate the impact that can have. I've said it for a long time, but we think that we can do all these things to engage our people and everything else. We can't get their pay right. They probably don't want to hear it. All right, they're not interested in this. They just want to get paid correctly on Friday, and then we'll talk about the rest of this stuff. So let's dive in and look at this. Springbuck is one of the companies who's been in the awards program for a couple of years now, and their focus is around helping employers understand, see the trends, make decisions when it comes to the health of their people. They do this in a way that's honestly astounding to me. They use a lot of sophisticated analytics, insights to bring this to life, but looking across the population in your organization and making predictions about the health based on the health records and their other information they have access to as a partner to you as an organization to say, how do you manage the health of your people better? How do you support them? How do you help them know they may have a problem they don't even know they have yet, by looking into the records and making predictions based on that? Again, it's on the verge of like science fiction. It's so incredible, and congratulations to them for the impact they're having, truly impact on the health of every single worker who's out there under an employer using them. It's really an incredible set of insights they're creating. Comprehensive solution here. So Mitratech has done some work around their I-9 solution. And again, it's one of those things that lots of employers like roll your eyes like, oh gosh, no one wants to think about things like that. But it's a real problem. And it's a real opportunity. The federal government issues fines every year to employers who don't have their I-9s, buttoned up. And so they're helping employers to make sure they've got a solution, a digital solution, not just a binder in the corner of the room with a bunch of I-9 stuff floating around, unsecure, but helping employers have it in a secure place. That's their focus. And they're helping companies to really scale up and get that out of someone's hands and just have it handled so that you can focus on the other things that really do matter to you as a company. Global solutions here. So companies who are really supporting employers that have global needs, and these are taking a slightly different approach to that. So I'll start at the bottom here. So GP is doing some good work. Actually have their old logo here, but GP is how they go by now. Don't call them globalization partners. GP won this one because they are helping employers that decide, we want to hire someone, we want to manage a workforce that's outside of our home country. We want to start expanding. We're looking for talent in other places because we kind of fished out the pond where we are. All those kind of use cases, they're supporting employers. And what I love most is I'm a geography science nerd. You probably could already tell that, but their products are named after like Meridian, which is part of the geography class. So if you don't remember that, you can look it up, geography. But their products are named around those things because their focus is helping employers to access other talent and other geographies, essentially. So kind of the fun loop there. Papaya Global has done some amazing work over the years, continues to helping employers large and small that want to expand and pay people compliantly outside the United States, outside or in other countries around the world. And so that if you decide you want to hire 10 people in Brazil tomorrow, they can help you do that. They can help you make that happen. So I've been impressed by their work, and they're continuing to improve that. They had a recent acquisition that I'm kind of curious to see how that feeds into and continue to support the product, because they're going to start being able to do native payments within their platform quickly, securely, without having to rely on other third parties to make that happen. So some good stuff there. And I think, George, I'll let you talk Bob in just a minute, because I know you reviewed some of their work here. But on the global side, I'll just say it quickly. Bob is built for employers that have a global workforce. It's a core HR solution. It's an HRIS. So you want a place to put all your employee data, and in a way that employees can actually get in there, can update their things, can talk about the things that are exciting to them, can add their faves, their do's and don'ts or whatever else. Like, they can add all those kind of things in. Employees have access to see what's going on. And this is built on a platform that's meant for global workforce. So multi-language, all those kind of things are built into it natively. Really, really incredible platform and the work they're doing there. All right. Best innovative emerging tech. So DailyPay has been around the block. They've won an award in the past, and their focus is on helping employees access to earned wages prior to payday. So if you're working for $15 an hour and you have a sudden emergency in the middle of the week, can you wait till Friday? Do you go get a payday loan? Like, what do you do to bridge that gap? DailyPay takes all that stress off the employee. They can access the hours that they've already earned and the wages associated with that subject to whatever limits the employer puts in place. So it really gives them some more freedom financially, so they don't have to go get a loan at 300% interest from a payday lender, but they get to solve that with their own money ahead of time. Finch is doing some great work when it comes to connecting data sets. So helping large companies, helping different vendors in the space to be able to connect in their payroll data, connect in their HR systems to each other in a way that doesn't require months of effort and large teams and large investments, things like that. So really connecting in a lot of that data, that's the fabric that underlies a lot of the decisions employers are making. So that's the work, the focus for them. And last but not least here, because I love, like, we're talking about all these amazing, cool things, and then we talk about companies that are solving things like I-9s and payroll, and in this case, AbsenceSoft is helping to manage all the employee leaves. So if you're an employee, a large employer, right, their case study that they shared is confidential, but they shared a company that has, you know, thousands and thousands of employees go on leave every year. And there's not a single HR person out there that I've ever met that says, you know what I really want to do? I want to get an HR so I can track everyone's leave while they're off for family medical leave or for, you know, some other kind of leave of absence. But they're helping to take the burden off of HR teams, focusing on really keeping it compliant, streamlined, all those kind of things, so that employers can really support the people during those critical times. Sometimes it's during a hard time, sometimes during a good time. They may have just had a baby, they may have lost someone, they're off on leave for a moment. So all those things factor in there. Bob wanted another word here because their focus isn't just on global companies, but on mid-sized companies. They don't focus on companies with 10 employees. They don't focus on companies with, you know, 50,000 employees. Their focus is kind of this sweet spot of a couple hundred to a couple thousand is the focus for them. So if you're in that space, again, you have the global sort of layer there, they're a great fit for you. And then Bamboo HR, they've done amazing work here. They're one of the companies that everybody kind of knows about, but no one realizes how big and how successful they are. This company serves thousands and thousands and thousands of small companies. They are doing amazing work. If you're a small company that's looking for some solutions around, we just need something to help us hiring. We need something to help us with a core HR system. Let's get off Excel. Like any sort of degree there, you can start looking at a solution like Bamboo to help you do that. And stepping one more back here, we have one more category after this, George. It's on employee experience. I knew we had one more. I just couldn't remember what it was. The last one here on core HR is for small business. So Paycor, Paychex, both of them have solutions that support small organizations, and both of these companies do very similar types of work, right? Not exactly the same. I don't want to say that, but both of them serve small employers that are saying, all right, we've been using a payroll agency. We've got to take this in our own hands. We want to be able to do this ourselves, or we want to find a blend of that. Paychex allows you to say, okay, I want someone to handle the payroll, but I want to have a system where I can see what's going on with my people, right? You can have degrees of help and support there. So both of them are solving that for small companies. And what's amazing to me is when you look at the actual distribution of companies and sizes, 99% of companies have only a couple hundred employees. So there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of solutions to help employers in that space. And these are two of the ones that we've seen that really impressed us and we think are noteworthy. All right. Last category here before we wrap this up for everyone. So appreciate all of you sticking with us so far. We're almost done here, just a little bit to go. So let's dive into this, talk about the employee experience category. So how we support our employees, how we support the needs they have for us. The first one here is tyGraph. So they were just recently acquired by this other company, and their focus is on helping employers really see and understand and measure what's going on within the workforce, see those dynamics that are not always visible at first glance, and to help employers to understand that and then make decisions based on those insights that are being generated by the system. So I'm always a fan of having more insight into what's going on. And for a lot of employers, it's like a black hole information. Well, I can tell you that who their manager is, or I can tell you their pay rate, or I can tell you their job title, but that's about all we know. And to have a layer deeper and understand the dynamics that are going on is really powerful. All right, George, I'm just going to stop talking for a second. This one's culture building solutions. I think you put your hands on at least a couple of these. So can you give me a quick rundown on a couple of things you might have seen, or one of them that stood out to you that you think is interesting? Uh-oh, you're on mute.
With what I saw with Quantum Workplace being and had the opportunity really to meet the team and get a little bit more deeper into their software, one of the things that really stood out to me was their focus is really on getting the proper solutions to their leaders, right? And really give them the access. A lot of leaders in the workplace right now are saying that we don't have the proper access and data that we need to really truly understand what motivates an employee. So how do we motivate them when we don't know how to do that? And Quantum does a great job of really putting that information, that data, back into the leaders' hands so they can keep engaged with their employees. Leader, on the other hand, one thing that really stood out with me about their software as well, looking into it, is that they do a great job really on the performance as well. And so creating better leaders and better performance, keywords again, as we have their new data coming out and research studies coming out, being that really align with a lot with what Leader is doing with their software, really helping the development side of things, not managing. And so we're not going to micromanage. It's really about really learning, engaging, action, development. And then the R obviously in their name is recognition. And so they tie all these things together and really, really empower their leaders to stay connected with their team members and do it at a high level as well to help that overall performance increase with understanding who they are.
So, it's an acronym. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah,
So you got
I love acronyms, so I had to
oh my gosh.
share great things. I'm a junkie for acronyms, and so I was like, what does this mean? And so learning, engagement, action, development, recognition.
Excellent. And then really quickly on the Bob solution here, their focus as a company, I've given you some insight into them already. Their focus is around helping employers make their culture visible across all those different dynamics and boundaries, and not letting it just be for an office. But if you have a team that's distributed, you have 500 people that are all in little pockets around the world, they shouldn't suffer, or your culture shouldn't suffer because of that. And so Bob really focuses on making those things visible and tangible. Excellent. Thank you for let me catch my breath there for a second, George. I appreciate that. Okay. All right. So Frontline Focus Solution, one of the companies you probably have never heard of unless you're in the frontline space, and you absolutely should if you hire people who work at a physical location, is Harry. So they started out as a recruiting solution years ago and have built into the employee experience, have done some great work there. And they help employers really understand their people. They help them, support them. They put the power of communication into the hands of every single frontline worker. And so instead of feeling like you don't know what's going on, feeling like you're out on an island, feeling like you're disconnected, Harry helps to connect every one of those frontline workers so they are empowered, they are capable, they are informed, they can make the right decision because they know what's going on. So congrats to the team at Harry. You're doing incredible work, and we appreciate you for jumping in here. All right, so this innovative or emerging tech solution bucket is kind of a catch-all in some cases. You'll see that here because these solutions are all over the place. So I'll give you a couple of them really quickly, and we're getting closer on time. So I'll give you a couple of them really quickly just to give you some idea because it runs the gamut. So Whatfix here at the bottom, if you've ever logged into a software and it says, hey, first try this, click that, do this thing, and it walks you through a little bit of a quick understanding of what's happening in that solution. That's not all they do, but that's part of what Whatfix does. Helps people get this digital adoption platform is kind of what they're called. Like they help people adopt the digital tool, help you understand quickly how to do that, help you get up to speed without having to have a 6-hour class or an hour-long tutorial or having to scour YouTube for the answers. They make that really easy. On the other hand, right, George, give me some insight into Become Unmistakable. What is they doing that's so unique and different? Because they're here in the innovative category, and I would definitely put them there.
Yeah, I think what stands out, obviously, for me, Ben, is as you mentioned, they kind of have a combined. They're a company that's 5 years, a little over 5 years old, and their UMAT really combines performance and engagement. So they focus a lot on the retention. They measure the culture. They help create that alignment within the organization. But the tools that they create really, I believe, is one of the best when it comes to connecting that sense of belonging and having that sense of fulfillment within the team. So that really stood out with me on how they tie everything together with their software to really connect everything into that sense of belonging piece with their UMAP software.
Like it's all over the place here for all of you listening in. Like this is a variety spectrum with its own category. Pave Commute supports employers trying to make better commutes for their people, helping people to get really a handle on that and to put people together, put some strategy behind something as commonplace as commuting. Yes, really. People Logic, they have an algorithm that helps employers understand which people are likely to stay at the business. So lots of good stuff, lots of great stuff in this category, and we're really, really impressed with the companies here. All right, WorkTango. So WorkTango is a company that's doing some amazing work when it comes to understanding our people, supporting them through performance, really getting some insight through employee surveys, using rewards as a way to influence behavior, all those kind of things in one solution. It's not 4 different companies. It's one company that allows companies to do that. And their focus is on mid-sized employers. They're trying to figure out okay, we've got this solution for that. It's time for us to buy this other thing. Like, we don't need 15 different vendors. We need one that can help us support the needs of our people. And they're built specifically for mid-sized organizations. All right, I have 1 or 2 more here on talent analytics, and we'll wrap this up for the day. So number 1, practical AI. Skyhive is doing some amazing work with helping employers understand the kind of DNA of the workforce, going again deeper than just understanding their resume, but seeing what they're about, what their skills are, and where you can be slotted into other roles within the business. So they're doing some amazing work with that. If you've ever thought, oh, this AI thing's interesting, I want to dig into it, they're a great example of one to go and take a look at. Mercer has done some work around helping to redesign work. And it's kind of interesting because we talk about AI influencing the redesign of work and how it's automating and everything else. And Mercer, of all companies, is actually building that into some of the services they're providing. So I get really excited about that one, and how they're able to help employers understand how to redesign work to get the most, to focus and emphasize the people side, and to automate the repetitive side that doesn't really bring value to anyone. When it comes to measurement, business impact, Hire Road, Performica, Activate, each of these companies is using analytics to help employers make better decisions, to make to get better insights, to understand what's really happening, not just some raw roll-up number of here's your people that are engaged, or here's your percent or turnover, but really understanding what's going on at a deeper level and helping employers make better decisions ultimately through the work they're doing. Incredible work there. HiBob has done some good work with their DEI dashboards inside their products. So for those employers that are saying, like, we want our culture to be visible, but we also want to be inclusive in how we're doing these things, they're adding some value with their dashboards focused specifically on that. From a talent intelligence perspective, the last one here we'll call out is Edligo. So their focus is really helping employers to measure, understand what's going on with their people, to make better decisions. This talent intelligence layer, like I said earlier, is helping you see deeper into what's going on in the organization. So that's their focus, and their case study with a very, very large enterprise was really impressive to read and understand how they're doing that. So congrats to that team there. Whew, goodness. So this has been such a blast. Whirlwind really quickly here. George, anything that stands out to you as kind of a closing comment, or anything interesting to you from this overall set of award winners before we congratulate them and wrap this up?
Yeah, I think what really stands out to me, and a lot of these companies are really striving to provide some great opportunities for their clients. One of the things, and I'll just focus on a key word for me that's kind of been on my mind of late, and that's the D&I&B portion of it. And just kind of a reminder for those companies that are adding this into their software. And we had a great, HiBob was one of those, as you mentioned at the end. One of the key things that I believe is important is that they understand the focus of that is just not a one-time fix. It's not a buzzword or things of that nature, but really finding ways to really track and keep that in the forefront, and make it a part of your DNA in every way possible. So, when it comes to those things, Ben, it really is vital for every action decision in every plan, vision or goal that you're making. That don't try to create one-time fixes. A lot of this software, not just on the D&I standpoint, but well-being, the talent acquisition, it's not a one-time fix. This is something that has to be embedded in your DNA when you're using the softwares to really grasp what it truly does for you. It's incredible things out there with a lot of these companies. And so congrats again on all our award winners for 2023.
Yeah, absolutely. To everybody out there, thank you for spending some time with us. Thank you again for participating in the awards. For those of you hanging out with us here, to the award winners, I know I rushed through that. It might have felt like a little bit. I tried to give everybody a good kudos there, but it's so hard. There's some really great companies, but as I started out today saying, that seems like a lot, but ultimately it's like 1% of the total companies that are out there. So if you're looking for technology, you want to know more, please check out the award winners, the list that we have there, and some of the things. We'll be publishing a blog post that tells more about some of our findings, some of our comments, some of the things that George and I and some of the other judges saw in those entries, and the things that we think are most noteworthy or most innovative, worth checking out. So thank you all to all of you for hanging out with us, for giving us a chance to share with you. Congrats again to the award winners, and we will catch you again next time on HR Tech Talks. Thank you.